Dave Farrow. That's who I'm here with today. We at this point we chatted once before. We're friends, I would say. Would you?
I hope so.
Had a
Yeah.
great conversation
You
before.
haven't asked me for money yet, so we'll see.
Well, that was going to be the end of this. So
Okay, that's it. All right. All
hold
right.
off, hold off. You're ruining the surprise. You're
Okay. Is that what they call it now? All right.
yeah. Dave Farrow, Guinness Book of World Records for greatest memory twice. Got it once. Then you had what? I'm sorry. What was the guy's name that took it from you? And then you got it back.
I forget. I
Oh,
forget. No, it was no, Dominic O'Brien's the only real contender that I've had to deal with that record. Although I will say there's a lot of smart people in the world of memory. There's a number of people who've tried for this record, but they weren't able to accomplish it. I think it's because my focus is on accuracy and really being able to pack a large volume of accurate information, whereas a lot of the memory techniques focus on speed, kind of like stage tricks, which I can do a little bit, but I'm not the best at. So it's kind of specialization. But anyways, but yeah, the reason why I got in the Guinness Book of Records wasn't to show off or feed my ego, although it certainly did that. It was a business plan, to be honest. I was struggling in school. When I say struggling, I mean I was held back. I nearly didn't graduate. I was at the bottom of all my classes, but at the same time, I was also considered very high IQ according to testing. So it's one of those things. It's like, what do you do when you think you're smart? One test says you're smart, but society or the system that you're in says you're not good enough. And so what I did was I started to look. I needed another opinion. So I looked for like third-party information, and I became obsessed with everything I could find out about memory and the brain. And this was before the big renaissance these days of talking about brain plasticity and things like that. So in my early career, I got some publicity, and I made a course on memory, and I was the kid with severe ADHD and dyslexia that got in the Guinness Book of Records. So I was able to teach from that perspective, and as you can imagine, there was a lot of people who wanted to accomplish the same thing. So I had a great course, sold about $8 million worth of memory courses, if anybody's curious about the number. Been on over 2,000, actually it's close to 2,500 media outlets. So some of the ones behind me, everything from the New York Times to the Today Show and Dr. Oz and things like that.
Oh yeah, Steve.
Um,
I see Steve Harvey back there.
yeah,
So,
Steve,
yeah.
he is actually, I should have mentioned him first. Of all the celebrities that I've met, the two nicest off screen of when the cameras are not rolling are Steve Harvey and Kelly Ripa. I will say that definitively right now, of all the ones that I've met, those two people, first of all, Kelly Ripa looks like she's made of iron. I did a picture with my arm around her. I felt like I was holding onto a steel girder, like she must be working out constantly. I felt flabby.
Right.
And But Steve Harvey though, he had the respect of his whole team. Everybody couldn't stop saying great things about him. Like there was no sycophants at all. It was just
Hmm.
respect. And he did this thing before we went on the air. We can go on tangents, right?
Yeah,
This is a
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Please.
yeah, this is a neat story about Steve Harvey. We did this thing before we went on the air, and he did this whole conversation about what it's like to get money to be successful financially, and he said that money just makes you more of whoever you are. So if you're an a-hole, right, then you become a better at being an a-hole, and if you are a good person, you become better at being a good person. It just makes you more powerful. So just beware of who is getting the power and what they're using with that power. But you'll be able to judge, you'll be able to see how people are, and it really impacted me at the time because my star was rising and I was making some money, and I was thinking, what am I going to do with this money? And you try to figure out what are my morals going to be, how am I going to live my life? What sort of moral compass am I going to use? And that was very influential. And it was just like before the cameras even turned on, you know.
Mhm.
Nobody said it. So it was he was definitely like the sage. I think he's one of those sage wisdom people in our society that aren't given enough credit, I think, in our short news cycle.
Kind of with that, there was a comedian, I can't remember his name at this point in time, but said that he got offered something like $1 million to do a commercial for constipation medication.
Yeah.
And he was like, I thought about the money, and then I realized I would be that guy who was constipated for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And those decisions do make a difference. We're all at the age where we're thinking about like what decisions that we made and what could we have done differently, and you can't go back, can't change it.
indeed, speaking of going back, we had talked briefly before,
Mhm.
and you had said around 16 or 17 was when you first realized that how your mind was operating was different, and that other people were could be amazed is not the word, but we'll say impressed or
Well, the thing is though, I wasn't, it wasn't a natural talent. I was like, if anybody's out there who's like very ADD, you've got ideas coming at you at all times. Sometimes you can't sleep because your brain's overactive. At the time, it didn't seem like genius. It seemed like crazy, you know? It's the
right.
mad scientist type genius, you know? Oh, Marty, we got to help your kids, Marty, you know? It's like that sort of feeling of like
Yeah.
just so many too many ideas, like a fire hose of ideas and creativity. So in learning memory techniques, it helped me channel that. And I think that that's what a lot of people are struggling with today, especially young people. uh, and I don't think this changes if you have an open mind as you get older, but young people, a lot of the difficulty young people have is they look at the world and they see the difference between what they think the world should be and what it actually is.
Mm.
And that's very stressful, and that stresses us all out, by the way. Message to young people, you can be at any age and you feel that, but also because your whole life's ahead of you, you have just tons of ideas and you want to do them all. And the most I wish, if anybody were to tell me something differently, would be to narrow down my focus. Because when I did narrow down my focus down to the memory techniques, and I just wanted to figure out how my brain worked, I came up with something nobody else had come up with. If anybody's curious about the art of memory, I came up with new memory techniques and no one had ever thought of. Five new techniques, and it even launched a whole new way of looking at memory. And even the book Moonwalking with Einstein was a huge hit that a lot of people followed. He was my student, and the term Moonwalking with Einstein was actually taken from my course. It was my line that he plagiarized, I think. But I didn't pursue anything legally or anything. I was very happy for him. I want to make my own money and not go to court
Right.
for these sorts of things. But I was very proud of what I was able to accomplish. I had about 10,000 clients, customers worldwide, live, and talked to millions of people through shows and interviews. And I had so many emails and even letters from people who are doctors now and lawyers now because of the memory techniques. So that's that is the power of just focusing on one thing and getting really good at it. But I will say this, I did it for selfish reasons. When I first started, I just wanted to figure out how my brain worked and solve this problem that I was having, where I felt like I was smart, but my grades and world around me, it didn't reflect that. And there might be people watching right now, same thing. They're creative, they come up with brilliant ideas. Maybe they see things happen, they're able to predict the markets or whatever, but they just haven't been able to translate that into making more money or getting a promotion or getting noticed and recognized. And I feel you. That's what we try to do with Farrow Communications, actually. Not to make a shameless plug, but
Right.
when I started my PR firm is because I got a ton of publicity myself, over 2,500 interviews and thousands in sales and stuff, over 100,000 copies of the book sold. And so now we look for authors and experts and other people who should be getting a lot of publicity, should be featured in Forbes and Inc. and Fast Company and stuff, and aren't being. So we look for the people who are just like where I was, where you're smart, but you're just not recognized for it, and we bring our marketing clout to it. So I'd say, yeah, that's what we're trying to do now, and that is one of the most difficult things. I think there's a lot of really talented people out there that are just not getting recognition, and there's so many people getting recognition that I think shouldn't. Let's just leave it at that.